Welcome back to our journey into the Pardes. Today, we are taking the very first step into something absolutely mind-blowing, the ascent of prayer. But listen, we need to forget everything we think prayer is. This isn't about asking for stuff. This is operational. It's about plugging into a spiritual technology, entering a series of divine palaces, or Heichalat. And we start right at the beginning, at the threshold of the first of 7 gateways, the palace of the Sapphire Pavement. So let's go ahead and take that first step together.
Okay, so this right here is our blueprint. This is our foundational text. The Zohar looks at this verse and says, that's not just some pretty poetry. No way. This is a literal architectural instruction. It's not just a description, it's a destination. It's telling us that at the absolute base of the entire divine system, right under the feet, so to speak, there's a floor made of sapphire. This is our front door, a place of pure crystalline energy and foundational strength. The whole journey up starts with understanding the ground you're standing on. So let's just completely reframe how we think about this. The mystics teach us that prayer, or tefillah, it's not about just, sending a message up into the sky and hoping for the best. It's an active, disciplined, step-by-step ascent. It's literally a technology for docking your consciousness with a higher dimensional reality. Every single word, every intention, is a step that moves you through these gates and these palaces. And this first palace? This is where you establish the connection. It's where your signal locks in, stabilizes, and proves it's worthy to go any further. It's not a request, it is an entry protocol.
I want you to just imagine this for a second. You are standing at the threshold, and in front of you, it's not a gate made of wood or stone. It's an infinite floor that looks like it's forged from solid light, the Levnat HaSaphir. It's this radiant, translucent blue, and you can feel it humming with power. It feels alive. And deep inside it, you can see 2 streams of light. One is brilliant white, the other a kind of silver blue. And they're spiraling together in this perfect, beautiful dance. And then you look up, and there are these vast wheels, the Ophanim, and they're turning silently with this shimmering precision. And way at the other end, there's a guardian, a truly formidable lion-like creature made of pure spiritual force, just radiating immense power and this intense, unwavering focus. This is the antechamber to the heavens.
Okay, so that was the experience, right? The cinematic arrival. But now, let's put on our architect hats. What is this place really? What are all these components for, and what do they do? We're going to go from the vision to the blueprint, from just being in awe to actually understanding. And to do that, we have to break down the anatomy of this first divine sanctuary.
To help us do that, we've got our resident cosmic architect here with us. So break it down for us. What exactly is a haika? It's the perfect place to start. Heichal means a palace, a sanctuary. But in this context, it's a very specific technical term. You should think of it as a distinct level or maybe a processing layer inside a vast cosmic operating system. According to the Zohar and these other incredible mystical texts, there are 7 of these Heichalat. Your prayer, your signal, has to successfully navigate every single one in order to get to its final destination. And each palace has its own architecture, its own guardians, and its own unique job. What we're looking at today is the very first one, the grand entrance hall of this whole divine system.
So, let's just lay out the key elements we saw in that cinematic vision. First, you've got the floor itself, the Levnat HaSaphir, the sapphire pavement. That's the foundation. Second, you have those 2 streams of light, constantly weaving in and out, interacting with each other. Third, the massive rotating wheels, the Ophanim, which feel like the machinery of the palace. And fourth, that powerful lion-like Mardian, who's basically a sentinel standing at the gate to the next level. You gotta understand, none of this is just decoration. It's all part of a highly advanced spiritual machine.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, because we can map all these visual components to the underlying cosmic engineering, the system of the Sephirot. So that sapphire floor. It corresponds to Yesod, foundation, and Malchut, kingdom. Malchut is our world, right? It's where the prayer starts. And Yesod is the main channel, the conduit connecting our reality to the whole spiritual framework. So the floor is literally the foundation and the entry point. Those 2 lights? They're expressions of Netzach and Hod, and they function as a reciprocal data flow. Think of it as your ascending prayer going up and the descending divine response coming down. The Ophanim, the wheels, are these dynamic forces inside of Yesod, and they're like processing units. They propel the prayer forward. And finally, the guardian. This lion-like being is a manifestation of Gevurah, strength, or judgment. And its function? It's the system's firewall. It's performing authentication, checking the integrity of your prayer before it'll grant you access.
And that brings us to the core technical analogy for this whole process.
Honestly, to really get what's happening in this first palace, it helps to think in terms of modern technology. The #1 job of the first Heichal is to establish a secure, stable connection. It's a spiritual handshake protocol. You know, before any meaningful data can be exchanged between two computers, they have to sync up, acknowledge each other, and create a stable link. That is precisely what is happening here.
It's amazing because these ancient texts describe this process using 3 spirits, or ruchat. The lower spirit, ruach tachtan, is your prayer coming up from Malkut. In network terms, that's the SYN packet, a synchronization request. It's you sending a signal saying, hey, I'd like to connect. That signal gets received by the middle spirit, ruach emtzai, which is the gateway. Its job is to stabilize your signal by binding it to the system signal, the upper spirit, ruach elyon. And that's the SYN-ACK, the server saying, I hear you, and here's my sync signal back. And once that happens, the connection is established and acknowledged, the ACK. It's a classic 3-way handshake just described in mystical terms thousands of years ago. It's unbelievable.
So let's just walk through this operationally. Step 1, initiation, your intention, your prayer. It rises up from our physical world, Malkuth. That's the lower spirit. Step 2, channeling. Your signal enters the domain of Yesod, which is this great collector and channel of spiritual energy. That is the Sapphire Pavement itself. Step 3, synchronization. Now this is where the real magic happens. The middle spirit, which is basically the consciousness of the palace, binds your lower spirit to the upper spirit. And the mystics have this incredible word for it, nashika, a kiss. Now this isn't romantic, it's a technical term for perfect adhesion, a flawless binding of 2 signals into one. And then, step 4, connection. Once that bond is made, a secure 2-way data stream is established. Those are the 2 spiraling lights we saw. And this whole thing is overseen and harmonized by Tiferet, or harmony, making sure the connection is perfectly balanced and stable.
I absolutely love the technical breakdown. But let's switch gears for a second. For all the parents, for all the gamers out there, let's think of this a different way. This isn't just cosmic engineering. This is level 1 of the ultimate video game. You, the player, have just spawned into the world. Your quest has just started, and your first major objective is standing right in front of you. This isn't about protocols. It's about courage, it's about your intention, and about passing your first great test.
All right, let's check our quest log. You're on level 1. Your objective, authenticate your signal, your prayer, and unlock the first gate. The environment is this stunning palace of sapphire. And yep, there's a boss, or at least a boss check. You have to face the guardian of the gate. If you pull it off, your reward is passage to the second palace, the next level of the game. So the big question is, how do you beat this boss? What is it actually looking for?
Well, this boss has a name. The Pardes Rimonim actually identifies the guardian of this first palace as the angel Tahariel, and the name itself gives you the whole game plan. It comes from the Hebrew root tahar, which means pure. So Tahariel is the angel of purity. He is the chief officer appointed over this entrance, and his entire job is to maintain the integrity of the system. He stands there with his legions, who are described as beings of blazing fire, holding scepters of fire, just to make sure nothing impure or unworthy gets through. And this is a really critical distinction. Tahariel, this lion-like expression of Gevura, he's not a monster you have to fight and defeat. He is not an enemy. He is a firewall. And think about it. A firewall doesn't hate the data trying to get through. It just examines the packets for integrity, for authenticity, for purity. It's a security protocol. Tahariel's job is to test the quality of your prayer. Is your intention pure? Is your focus unwavering? Is the signal strong and coming from a place of truth? If your prayer is full of ego or distractions or impure motives, it's not going to pass the check. It gets bounced right back. But if it's pure, you are granted immediate access.
And this, right here, this is that moment of success. Your prayer, your signal, it reaches the guardian. Tahariel's scan runs, and the results pop up. Intention purity, high. Focus, strong. Signal strength, stable and coherent. Check, check, check. You pass authentication. The lion-like being doesn't attack you, it acknowledges you. And its form, which looked so imposing just a second ago, now just seems majestic. And with this silent internal command, the path forward just opens up. The firewall has granted you access. You've passed the first test.
So what's your reward for passing the test? The instant your prayer is authenticated, the machinery of the palace kicks into high gear. The texts talk about 4 great ophanim, 4 of those massive wheels that start spinning with incredible speed and precision. They are the propulsion system. They create this powerful current that just grabs your now stabilized prayer and pulls it forward from the entrance toward the center of the palace. And there you see a great pillar of light, a conduit named Tahariel. That's the vertical transport system. It's the elevator leading up to the second palace. Quest complete. The system itself is now carrying you forward.
And just like that, we've successfully navigated the first Heichal. We stepped onto the Sapphire Pavement, we stabilized our signal with that cosmic handshake, and we passed the purity test of the guardian Tahariel. The system has accepted our connection, and its own mechanics are now pulling us deeper inside. But you have to remember, this is just the beginning. There are 6 more palaces to ascend, and each one has new challenges, new architecture, and new secrets to unlock. You know, this isn't just theoretical knowledge. It's a map. The first gate is open. The foundation has been set. Your signal has been authenticated as pure. So the real question this ancient technology is asking each and every one of us is, are you ready to proceed? Are you ready for the next level of the ascent?
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardis. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week.
If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.